Some say it's an early turn of the leaves. Others, if the acorns fall fast from the trees. But in Minnesota, the official start of winter is Heydays, the largest snowmobile festival in the world. Stickers? We got them. Engine parts? We got them. And great Terracross racing? We got it. Plenty of variety here at Heydays, and plenty of variety on today's show with top women racing, a modified version of speeding with style, and much more. Now tighten your harness straps, you don't want to miss it. Centered in the heart of beautiful Minnesota, you'll find North Branch, the home of the Heydays Snowmobile Festival, the biggest gathering of snowmobilers in the world, and the kickoff to the North American snowmobile season. Hi everyone, I'm Tess Sewell along with Paul Thacker, and welcome to an inclement day here at Heydays. We have a lot of racing in store for you. Coming up later in the show, the first women's final of side-by-side racing. But first, we've got our speeding with style race, and Paul, that's going to be a challenge here today.
Yeah, it definitely is. As you can see, we're getting a little bit of rain. Rain equals bad when you're talking about freestyle. So I think today, because obviously a slippery ramp's a dangerous ramp, so what we're going to do is we're going to eliminate the style portion. The boys will not be hitting the freestyle ramp, but they will be banging bars on the racetrack.
So expect to see more of a race coming up than the usual tricks and race that you're used to. But I think right now we should just get to the action. So you're looking there at the backstretch of our course here, and just an amazing tight course that we've got set up for you. The guys on the line ready for our speeding version of Speeding with Style. But let's check out that course with our Mystic Lubricants Heydays 3D course map.
And Tess, our own side-by-side racer, Dana Creech, actually built and designed this course in 4 days. As you can see, there's multiple lines to this track. Today, we're concentrating on the lines on the right-hand side for our side-by-side and Speeding with Style.
This course, a half a mile long, and I have to say one of the most important features, this right here.
It's like a 40, 50-foot flyaway. These guys are sending it. Then they are absolutely pinned down the backstretch, getting ready for this tight section.
And in this section, they have one turn. There's a couple of lines they can take, but this is the lead into that finish line. And who knows which one of these two lines will be the fastest for our racing in side-by-side and modified speeding with style here today. So they're on the line right now, and as you said earlier, because of the rain, the ramps are slippery, you can't jump them.
Yeah, Tess, you know, it's completely unpredictable when the ramp's wet. These guys lose traction. You just don't know what's going to happen.
And I think in this particular format now, we've taken the tricks out of it. Obviously, the guys with a race background are going to benefit.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, some of these guys are racing on circuits now, and you know they're going to be fast.
So we've seen in our quad 4x4 racing, the utility quads, these are different. They're sport quads. They're actually built for racing.
Yes, exactly. I mean, these quads are built for jumping, sending it, motocross style tracks. These are going to be perfect for what these guys are doing right now.
This event called Caleb Moore's Speeding with Style, of course, in honor of Colton Moore's brother Caleb, who passed away earlier this year. Colton Moore, though, I think a threat in any format, whether it's racing or jumping.
You know, the guy's always on the edge. You know he's going to be up front. He's fast. He's talented. Fun to watch.
And then Derek Getter, I thought Getter in practice actually looked really good, but this guy here, J.R. Hines. Hines is actually racing right now on the ATV National Circuit, so I would expect him to be fast out of the gate.
For sure. With no style and just racing, he's going to be someone to be reckoned with.
So this would be Caleb Moore's Speeding with Style, but I think now we're just going to have to call it Caleb Moore's Speeding.
Speeding.
So 8 laps, as fast as you can possibly go around this track. They are ready under starters orders, ready for that flag to jump, and here they go.
And you know, Tess, usually these guys are doing just 2 at a time. Now the whole field is racing at the same time.
And look at that, Derek Getter getting the jump on that yellow quad on the inside. You see Colton Moore in the orange on the outside, and then J.R. Hines, he is behind Getter, who is finding the fast line, though. I see Marco Picotto in the red.
Look at those guys wheeling through that whip section. That's a rough section of track right there.
And I love the way they lean off the seat, right off the side of the quad to get the thing biting on the corners.
Right, body English means so much for these guys.
Oh, and there J.R. Hines has moved into the lead. He found a way around Derek Getter. So the white quad on the left of your screen, that's Hines. The yellow quad is Getter. Wow! Getter!
It's getting sideways.
Well, and you said it before, JR is racing on the circuit right now in quads. He's looking really, really solid.
But I'm surprised that Getter has the inside lane, and they're kind of swapping lanes right there. Getter is holding him off because I think he's finding a better racing line.
Absolutely. You can see JR has taken that inside line at the finish line, which is obviously the most important one.
Well, so all things being equal at the end of the 8th lap, if he holds that position and takes that line, he could win this race that he's leading right now.
Mystic Lubricants Terracross Championship on CBS Sports Network is being brought to you by Mystic Lubricants, specially formulated for lubrication domination. Visit mysticlubes.com. And by the Polaris Razor.
Welcome back to our Mystic Lubricants Terracross Championship and our Speeding with Style race here from Heydays in North Branch, Minnesota. You're looking at J.R. Hines, who is holding off the yellow peril behind him of Derek Getter, Paul.
Yeah, JR is looking really good. You can see his racing background really shining in this event.
You know, as we said earlier, JR right now is actually racing, so many weekends on the national circuit, whereas a lot of the other guys now, they concentrate on their freestyle career. So although they have the racing chops, it's really showing right now that JR does this week after week.
For sure, he's getting around the track so efficiently, so smooth, picking his lines like a racer.
So J.R. Hines on the white quad, the yellow quad, that is Derek Getter. And then Marco Piccato, who we saw put in some amazing work in our Speeding with Style from Elk River. He has the backflip in his arsenal. We won't see it from him today.
Yeah, and Marco actually started as a racer before he started learning to do tricks, so he could definitely move up into the top, 2, maybe even push for the first.
Well, Marco's going to have to work hard to get that. Colton Moore sitting in 4th. And I don't think he's going to challenge Marco Piccato. You see him just come into the picture there at the very left-hand side of the screen. So there's Getter. In the red, that's Marco Piccato. And you can just see Colton Moore coming through there. So J.R. Hines, pretty convincing lead.
He looks like he's doing exactly what he wants to do on that quad. You know when your confidence is there, you're putting that thing exactly where you want to, you're going to be fast.
Now, 8 laps on this course. Will fatigue play a part and maybe, force one of these guys to make a mistake?
I would think that's definitely a possibility. Not maybe so much for JR, as he's been racing quite a bit, but the other guys, they're not racing every day.
And it really, it's kind of showing right now because each lap, Hines seems to be getting just, another foot or so ahead of Derek Getter. But I'm really interested in the fight now between Getter and Marco Piccato because Piccato started to close up on Getter. You can see him now coming in. And Getter's really, he's looking back every now and again.
He looks a little bit tentative. I mean, Getter actually, the Getter brothers have a track in their backyard, so he does put some laps in on a pretty regular basis.
Oh, and you saw him pushing it sideways there. The yellow, that's Derek Getter. The red is Marco Piccato. So Getter is trying to catch up to J.R. Hines, but he's now under pressure himself. So what is that? Does that force you to defend your position?
Absolutely. You start riding a little defensively, not wanting to make a mistake and get past. It messes with your head.
So here we go. The white flag was flying there when they came across the line. This is the final lap, and Hines was wheeling his way into a tabletop jump.
Just looking so smooth. Get those front wheels off. It just soaks up the bumps so much better, way easier on your body.
So So here we go. He just has to ride smooth, and I think he can probably dial it back a little through these last turns. And now you see Getter actually did put that gap on Marco Piccato, so this should be how they finish. 1, 2, 3. First, J.R. Hines. Second, Derek Getter. And rounding out the podium, Marco Piccato.
JR looked pretty dang solid. I think that guy's been racing a lot or something.
And look at him, he barely looks like he's been out on that quad, let alone won an 8-lap race.
Look at Derek Getter get just a huge jump off the line and take that lead right out of the first corner.
And Getter really did look comfortable until this point. We talked about him having the best line, but suddenly J.R. Hines finds the inside.
That inside line, and I think part of it's just how smooth JR is around the corners.
So this was the battle, Derek Getter and J.R. Hines, but it didn't last for long. Once J.R. found that tight turn across the finish line, he managed to find his groove and just hold off Derek Getter for the rest of the race.
He's just carrying so much speed.
So there's your winner, J.R. Hines, in this modified version of Caleb Moore's Speeding with Style. All about the speed today, and certainly he had it. A +2 second differential back to Derek Getter, Marco Piccato in third. Right now, J.R. Hines is down with Misha Johnson.
J.R. Hines, everybody, nice race out there. Obviously, you had a little bit of a format change. What were you thinking when you heard, oh, no style this one?
I was pretty much excited. I've been racing moto all year in the Nationals, and I can do some tricks as well, but I was excited that we were just going to do 8 laps. I was ready, and I made it happen, so I'm stoked.
Did it change your strategy at all, knowing that it was just going to be speed?
Not really. Just knew I had to go out there and turn some fast times and pass the boys, so I didn't get a good start. So came out all right and came out in second, so it all worked out, and it was a good time.
You make it look so easy. Nice job out there.
Thank you very much.
Awesome racing in our modified Speeding with Style, but coming up next, hey ladies! For the first time ever, ladies side-by-side racing, don't miss it. If you like it rough, tough, and muddy, then head on over to terracrossracing.com for all the inside scoop on our top competitors and the Terracross Championship. Welcome back to the Mystic Lubricants Terracross Championship from the Heydays in North Branch, Minnesota, where we have something special on tap. The HMK Women's Side-by-Side Racing for the first time ever. There you see Sarah Gilday getting ready to do battle, and she actually looked super, super fast in practice.
Absolutely. These women are impressive. They get around the track pretty dang quick.
And you are allowed in this race to actually have a spotter sitting in that passenger seat. So you see Melissa Blazinski has somebody in there with her, and this could play an important part, right?
Sure. Some of these women have not actually raced before, so it's kind of nice to have somebody with some experience telling you which lines to pick, how hard to hit the jumps, etc.
And there you see, looking through the goggles, Cindy Hart. She is a favorite in this race, and you may be asking why she's a favorite. Well, it's because she has an unbelievable teacher.
My boyfriend's Doug Gust. He's a big part of the ATV industry. He's starting to come back and race some of the Terracross and the side-by-side races. And he was my partner the last round and giving me the lines, took the steering wheel out of my hands a couple times to show me some better lines, and gives me the speed to hit the jumps, but he's injured right now, so I got a new co-pilot with me this weekend. His name is Chris. He's hopping in with me today, and he's going to try to help me find some better lines and tell me not to let off when I start getting scared. It's a lot of fun to have the women in the class because the buggies are something that the women could just jump in and race too. There's actually a couple girls out there that never rode the buggies, and they're out there racing today. So it's just for the guys that like the sport, they can bring their girls with. They can either ride with them and they can also race them. So it's great for the sport. It's great for the women being able to go out and do something with their boyfriends and their husbands.
You know, it's a really good point that Cindy makes there about spending time with, with the boyfriends and husbands, but I wonder what her reaction was when Doug Gust reached across and took that steering wheel over.
I actually chatted with Doug a little bit, and he made a joke about having to grab and steer into the right spot.
So they're off racing, and right away, Cindy Hart gets the jump on the rest of the field in that 813 machine. Offline, and wow, almost tumbles it. So Sarah Gilday gets to go through, and that was an almost disastrous move for Cindy Hart.
I'm not sure if her spotter was trying to tell her to go down that exact line, but whew, it worked out.
Well, she managed to come back, and I don't know how, to regain the lead there. But wow, what a tense moment that was. She was so close to tipping that machine over.
And not only just tipping it over, it would have been right in the big mud pit.
So, and the idea there when you come through that section of the course is that you really just need to gas it as you approach that mud pit just to fly right over it, but she just completely mistimed it.
So much about this racing is momentum and keeping your speed up to clear obstacles and get around corners, and yeah, you got to keep moving in the right direction.
And you saw there Sarah Gilday having a little bit of trouble. You can see her kind of swapping out in that Hanko Utilities machine. And, the girls here racing the 900 Polaris Razor, and they just jump in these machines, and they just seem so comfortable with the racing format. And as easy as they make it look, this is a really tough course to race.
Absolutely. The course is, it's deep ruts, big jumps, tight corners, it's sandy, and these girls, they get around this track pretty dang good.
And you could see Cindy Hart was fighting that steering wheel, going into these deep ruts on the corners, which get more and more dug out on every lap, but her spotter was looking back there as she came over the big tabletop. She's got the threat really only from Sarah Gilday, and if you look back along that backstretch, Sarah's coming around the corner right now. She's already cleared the backstretch.
Yes, Cindy is. She's on a mission right now. You can tell she's had solid experience. She's done this before, and it shows.
So Cindy Hart in the lead, Sarah Gilday in second. Blasinski is in third right now, and there was a little bit of a battle going on there for second place. You see the white flag flying, so this is the final lap for Cindy Hart. She just needs to ride smooth.
Maintain. Yeah, when you get a chance to see how deep those holes are, these machines just, for stock machines, they do just an incredible, incredible job.
On the backstretch, Gilday and Blasinski. That's Sarah, who is...
Oh, she's got looks like a flat tire.
Oh, what's happening? Flat tire, but still battling it. And here comes Cindy Hart, going a little bit wide, but heading through to the finish line. Whoa, something going on there. What was that? A problem with the machine? But she's parked. She was going to win this race, and oh no, Sarah Gilday is coming past her. Wow, this is going to be a race all the way to the finish, and we thought Cindy Hart had it locked.
She's got the momentum.
But no, a problem with the machine, and she's not even going to take second. Cindy Hart gets third place. Wow.
Unbelievable.
What a turn up right there. What on earth happened?
I'm not sure she looked so good up to that point, but it's a really rough section of track right there before the finish line.
So you see there, Sarah Gilday wins with a flat tire, but she's coming around. This actually looked like it was
perfect.
A lock.
You could see, that's a pretty gnarly rough section. It looks like that steering wheel just got sawed right out of her hands and put her up on the berm.
And here, coming through into the finish again, Gilday makes it over smooth, but Cindy having trouble, which allows Blasinski to come through.
What a turn of events.
Can you even believe that just happened? A great turn of events for Sarah Gilday, winning our first HMK Women's Side-by-Side, and there'll be more from the ladies later on in the show. But now, the GBC Pro-Am Side-by-Side, where they're fighting for a chance to get into the Pro class. More racing when we return. Welcome back to the Mystic Lubricants Terracross Championship from Heydays. What is Heydays, you ask?
Heydays is a crazy event. You got a lot of people here swapping. You got snowmobiles, you got four-wheelers, trailers, anything you can think of under the sun.
Just a giant gathering of people that love snowcross.
This is really cool because it's close to home for us, and it draws close to 50,000 people. You know, I hear numbers like that, and I guess I really don't doubt it.
It's pretty amazing, especially to be able to race an event like this. It's just huge for us. It's a new step for the UTV world.
A lot going on up here, a lot of crowd, it's a lot of fun. You get to meet a lot of people out here, and it's just good entertainment.
With all the events that's going on at Heydays, it's awesome to see everyone come up and check out the racing, and they just want to know more about it. So it's cool racing in front of a Minneapolis crowd.
And Paul Thacker, Heydays, the lead-off to the winter season, really, August in a cornfield?
You know, it is. It's the kickoff to our snow season, but it's just such a unique event. You can see and do and eat just about anything at Heydays.
Well, I've seen some amazing sights here hanging out in North Branch, but speaking of amazing sights, Pro-Am racing and the chase to get into the pro race category. Cody Gorsinger, this guy, he is super, super fast.
He, as you've seen from the races before, he's on a mission. That guy wants to race with the big boys.
And also in that front line, Cole Coutu, he, I think, is going to give Gorsinger a run for his money. So you see this row one, Ives, who is a seasoned veteran of racing, but look in the back row, Bizek and Lloyd.
Some grizzled veterans back there. The young boys up front better watch out.
So here we go, they're underway racing. That 140, the middle side-by-side there. Cody Gorsinger, certainly in rounds 1 and 2, we saw how fast he was, but Coutu having a great start.
That was a great start. That inside line just worked for him perfect and put him out in the lead with the whole shot.
And also the way he jumped over the tabletop, he actually landed perfectly on the downside, and when you do that, you deliver power as soon as you land.
Absolutely, you don't lose any speed. You just, well, a lot of times pick up speed.
So there you see Coutu and Gorsinger through 1 and 2, and a battle back there for third place. You see Bizek and Lloyd in the mix.
You just, when they come around the corner, you see them just sawing on that steering wheel. These things don't have power steering, so it's a lot of arms and shoulders.
But the funny thing is, you know, 1 and 2, these guys, they've put a bit of distance between themselves and the rest of the pack, but when you look back for that third place position, it was kind of packed up for a little while there, but it looks like Lloyd has managed to pull free.
Well, you've got some fast guys coming and vying for that third spot. Again, I mean, Coutu, look how fast he is. You know, he really took a chance off the whole shot and took that inside line, but it worked out for him. The kid's got guts.
Well, the winner of this race will get a chance to race in the Big Boy Pro category. Who will it be? Find out when Terracross comes back. Cole Coutu in the lead still in our GBC Pro-Am race here. And again, the guys are racing because they want to get into the Razor 1000 Pro Division, which is why this is such a hard-fought battle. Coutu is somehow managing to hold off Gorsinger, though, in an HMK machine, but Gorsinger is coming fast.
You know, we've seen Gorsinger in the past. He is fast. He has won some races. He's closing the gap for sure.
So Coutu and Gorsinger out in front. Lloyd is kind of lingering in third place and can't seem to make up that distance to catch up to second place. You can see he hasn't even come into the picture yet. There he is.
I cannot get over how big those guys go off that back tabletop. It's just, they're just sending.
So there you see Gorsinger is really working those corners. He's getting all of the speed out of those big berms. But Cole Coutu has put in a fantastic race so far.
Yeah, it looks like Gorsinger's followed him a little, seeing what Coutu's doing, and he's actually reeling him in. And it's kind of funny. These two are good buddies, ride together, and now they're racing together.
Now you wonder what happens after a race like this. If you still stay as buddies or everyone goes to separate corners in the trailer. So Lloyd is settled, I think, into third place right now because it is such a fast battle at the front between Couture and Gorsinger. And there again, Cole is actually starting to kind of break away.
Just railing the corners, picking good lines. He looks really, really solid. Both these guys look really good.
What I did see, though, in this section right here, that Couture seems to get bounced around a whole lot more, where Gorsinger has a really, really smooth and almost a dialed-back line. But wow, the amount of air he's getting.
That is just so incredible. I mean, these are big machines. That's just great.
So there, Cole Couture in first place. There you see Cody Gorsinger coming through in second. And I gotta say, I like the way Cole Couture is putting a little bit of distance on Gorsinger right now. And look, he's sawing that steering wheel.
Yeah, just so. I mean, that's got to be it. I know for a fact it's hard on your shoulders and arms, and you get tired. You know, you hit something funny, it spins that wheel out of your hands, and you're upside down before you know it.
These guys racing the Polaris 900s, where the Pro Division is now racing the new 1000s, and wow, a bad problem right there.
Just about blew the corner.
And here, Lloyd just plugging away in third place, but you almost saw Cole Couture drive that machine right off the side of the course. Is he feeling the pressure maybe a little bit?
You know, that's exactly what I was thinking, Tess. I mean, last lap, but he's right there. The race is so tight.
You see how close Gorsinger got now? I think he smells blood. It's like, you know, he's the shark. There's blood in the water. He's going to chase down Cole Couture and whoa, wow, nosing it in there. Gorsinger has a little bit of a problem, but he is getting awfully close to the back bumper of Cole Couture.
They are going for it, holy smokes.
Just a couple more corners left. Can Gorsinger force a mistake out of Cole Couture? Wow, look how close they are coming through to the finish line. But it's not going to be enough. Cole Couture takes the win, Gorsinger second. And it is going to be Lloyd that will eventually finish in third place. Hasn't even crossed the finish line yet. Shows you how fast these two friends were battling each other.
You can see the show of respect between buddies. That's great stuff. That's great racing.
So Cole Couture manages to hold off his friend, charging behind him, Cody Gorsinger. Look at some of this race action.
This is right off the start when Couture takes that inside line. He clears the big mud hole. That set him up to take the whole shot right there.
And I think Gorsinger a little bit surprised because that middle lane was so fast. Just looking for a way underneath, but it's not going to be enough. Cody Gorsinger can't get past him. Cole Couture wins this race. So Cody Gorsinger still strong in our Pro-Am category. He takes a second in this race, but that's going to help him get into the Pro category. Cole and Cody are with Misha Johnson.
All right, you guys, I'm here with the first and second place finishers, Cole and Cody, both Minnesota homegrown boys. Let's start with the second place finisher. All right, Cody, you had Cole in your sights the whole time. I saw that, and to add insult to injury, you guys are friends. Talk to me about the race.
It was a good race. You know, Cole's a good rider. When I hit that corner, I knew he took that inside line, and, you know, I knew it was going to be a tough race from the start.
Nice job out there. And of course, Cody, here we are, first place finish. This has got to feel really good, especially when you're, you know, combating against your boy over there. How was this? Did you have a strategy going into this race?
It feels great to win, but I was just trying to take the inside line on the start and try to get the whole shot, and I came out in first, and I knew Cody was right behind me, and I knew it was going to be a tough race, and because he's been winning and dominating in the heat races, and feels great.
Oh, and you are so humble on top of it. Nice job out there. You guys looked great.
Thank you.
Awesome racing in our GBC Pro-Am category there, but let's take a look at what's coming up in our next episode. Although the wily veterans have always been competitive in Terracross racing, this season it's been the young guns that have been dominating thus far. In the Pro Side-by-Side, there's only two letters you need to know, R and J. That's R.J. Anderson, who's been unstoppable, winning both races at our first stop in Elk River, as well as the third stop here at Heydays, where he pulled off a coast-to-coast win with his front drivetrain virtually non-existent.
I just had to stay calm, make sure I made no mistakes, because coming to that tabletop one lap, I was full on two wheels, and it was pretty sketchy, but I held on to it.
for the quads, it's been the aggressive performance of Rory Beckman, nearly sweeping the podiums if it wasn't for some spectacular passing by Doug Gust to take stop 2 in Elk River. Different line for Doug Gust.
So fast. Doug is
Whoa,
so fast.
Oh, he got it!
Makes the pass.
With Doug Gust out from injury and Daryl Rath still hurting both physically and mentally from Elk River, the door opens for some other riders like Zakowski and Weckman to take a run at the podium. Catch the exciting conclusion of this season's Terracross racing on Sunday, October 6th, 7 Eastern on CBS Sports Network. Welcome back to the Mystic Lubricants Terracross Championship here from Heydays in North Branch, Minnesota. And not just racing going on here this weekend, we had some unbelievable freestyle action before the rain came. Bikes, quads, and snowmobiles all in the air together.
Absolutely. That doesn't happen very often in very many places, but you can see it at Heydays, that's for dang sure.
So you see the crowd here at Heydays, tens of thousands strong, and they are ready to watch our second HMK women's side-by-side race. The ladies already on the line, getting ready to go. There is Amber Gore, and you see she has chosen to have the co-pilot along with her, Paul.
And he's a pretty experienced co-pilot. I believe that's Jeff Lloyd there sitting beside her.
Sarah Gilday, the winner of our last race, pipping Cindy Hart at the post. She's riding alone, and I wonder if that's an advantage or a disadvantage.
You know, I suppose it would depend on how much experience you've got.
Well, speaking of experience, Cindy Hart normally has Doug Gust sitting alongside her in the co-pilot seat, but she didn't in the last race. She led this thing right from the start and almost the whole way through.
Such a great race she ran, and this mistake right at the end, I mean, it's a really rough section. She bobbled, gets stuck on the berm, doesn't take the win.
So she was parked, allowed Sarah Gilday to go through for the win, but watch the inside there. That is Cindy Hart, who took off like a rocket into space.
Pushing her way right into the spot, picking up right where she left off in the first round.
Wow, the number 813 is Cindy Hart wearing the blue. Sarah Gilday, who won that last race, is by herself, dressed in all pink. And well, I'm just absolutely amazed at how consistent Cindy is on those starts.
Starts are so important in every form of racing, but especially in side-by-side when you're talking about such a tight course such as Heydays.
Well, it's hard to pass here. We heard that from a lot of the athletes, but Cindy this time is trying to be mistake-free as she maneuvers her way around this course. But so far, Sarah Gilday keeping her in her sights. And there you see Cindy goes through, Sarah is following. And from what I'm seeing right now, though, Cindy looks a lot smoother in all of these rhythm sections, whereas, you know, Amber and Sarah seem to be kind of fighting it a little bit.
Yeah, you can definitely see the experience that Cindy brings to the table. And, you know, she's probably just a tiny bit cautious. That mistake in the last round has got to be in her mind.
Well, you know, if you look at the last race and how much of a lead she had and how consistent she was, if she maybe dials this one back to 98%, that wouldn't force a mistake going towards the end, because, I mean, she had it in that last race.
She had it, absolutely. And I'm sure she's disappointed and wants to show well and take that win in this round.
Well, now look at the gap that is beginning to develop here. There is Cindy Hart already round the corner after the finish line. There's Sarah Gilday and there's Amber Gore. So she has at least 10 lengths already between her and second place.
She is running a really good race, picking good lines. So far, mistake-free, which obviously that's what she wants.
And the great thing she talked about going back to Elk River when Doug Gust was sitting in the passenger seat next to her, that Doug would reach over and grab that steering wheel, because I think she said because he wanted her to find a better line.
Exactly, and that bit of experience is coming into play because she is stretching out this lead.
So riding in these Polaris Razor 900s, the women's HMK division, they have been putting in some great racing all weekend long, and just watching them in their practice sessions and I'm really surprised. They've jumped in here. They don't know these machines very well, but they've really been racing. And speaking of racing, Amber Gore is looking for a way around Sarah Gilday.
Amber in third has tightened it up and definitely looking to take that second spot.
What's interesting now is Cindy Hart looks to have slowed down a little bit in that Nielsen Enterprises machine. What is she up to, Paul?
You know, she dialed it back. She doesn't want any mistakes. She is looking for that victory.
So Sarah Gilday must smell blood again. She's thinking, oh, maybe I have a chance, but this is the final turn, and this time it will be Cindy Hart who takes the win.
Redemption.
Sarah Gilday hangs on, but a hard-charging Amber Gore takes third. The HMK women's race is in the books this weekend, and wow, I think a huge sigh of relief under that helmet from Cindy Hart. And with that, Cindy Hart becomes our Polaris Razor Power Performer for this week, overcoming the intense mental anguish of going off the side of the course in race 1. She redeems herself in race 2.
Such a big mistake. You know she was kicking herself, but she sucked it up, came back, and threw down in the second race.
Cindy Hart had a big lead in the middle of that race, but she dialed it back to about 98%, and that was enough to keep the space between her and Sarah. She is our Polaris Power Performer. What a fantastic race that was for Cindy, though.
It really was. I mean, I'm impressed with her consistency. Minus one little mistake, she would have had 2 wins.
And she's down right now with Misha Johnson.
All right, Cindy, you are now the points champion and the champion of this race. This has got to feel so good. And, of course, I have to ask, having someone sitting beside you, is this your good luck charm?
It definitely is. It really helps have someone next to me. He helps me keep in line, tells me to calm down, tells me better lines to take, and tells me good job.
It's all about the strategy. And, of course, you're dating Doug. So does he give you some pointers out on the track? I know he's injured right now, so is he feeding you some good lines?
Oh, yes, definitely. He tells me exactly what I'm doing wrong out there and how to fix it.
Oh, you just got to love those guys. Congratulations, you guys.
Thank you.
Coming up after the break, our Speeding with Style event, which this year has been dedicated to the memory of Caleb Moore. Caleb's younger brother Colton is also competing in Speeding with Style, where he rides alongside his friend Marco Picado. Marco and Colton enjoy a life traveling the world where they get to do events and exhibitions that showcase their freestyle skills, something they did in the past alongside Caleb. With this year's races being dedicated to Caleb Moore, we checked in with Marco Picado, who told us about his special connection to the Moore family.
Caleb, you know, I take him in my heart deep. I was pretty much adopted by the Moore family, and Caleb shaped Colton and shaped me, so I wouldn't be where I'm at without him, you know. He was the one that got me to get the back flip down as well as Colton. And yeah, it's been a rough year for a lot of us, and definitely something that makes you kind of second guess if this is what you want to do, but at the end of the day, you know, I know if he could say something to me, it would be like, dude, keep going, and you've been killing it. So I'm happy to be able to have a good year, you know, and ride for him, have this in memory of him, and it's just insane to see how many people and how many lives he touched.
Mystic Lubricants Terracross Championship on CBS Sports Network is being brought to you by Mystic Lubricants, specially formulated for lubrication domination. Visit mysticlubes.com. And by the Polaris Razor.
Welcome back to the Mystic Lubricants Terracross Championship from Heydays in North Branch, Minnesota, where we're about to see Caleb Moore's Speeding with Style. And Paul, a slightly changed version of Speeding with Style today.
Correct. We've had a bit of rain. The weather is not the greatest. Unfortunately, rain, when you're talking freestyle, you know, it makes the ramp slippery, dangerous. It's not something we want to put these boys through, so there'll be no ramp hits, just racing on the track.
So what we've done is we've made this a speeding race, and there you see Marco Piccato. Great racing background, so he knows how to handle himself.
He sure does, and Tyler Nelson didn't have the first race he wanted, so he's looking to redeem himself this round.
And then we got to talk about Derek Getter and the guy next to him, J.R. Hines, their battle in that first race.
Such a good race. These two guys are very talented on a quad.
So J.R. Hines, he won race number 1, and he looks pretty happy and confident on that line, but he's next to Colton Moore, and we saw how fast Colton can be if he can just kind of dial it back a little bit.
That's right. He's always on the edge, out of control, but that's where he seems to like it.
The guys on this line are known for their freestyle skills, but today it's all about racing. J.R. Hines, he's been racing the ATV National Circuit, and it certainly showed in race number 1.
It sure did. I mean, he was very, very fast, very smooth. He's ready to rock.
Here we go. The white quad in the middle. That is J.R. Hines, who got a great start again.
Very nice. Marco on that outside, that's pretty solid too. That's a fast line.
And you see the yellow quad of Derek Getter way back there. He had contact with Colton Moore right on that first turn. And this is not what the other guys want to see. Hines out in front again.
Picking up right where he left off in the last round. This guy is on a mission.
And he looks really fast, but I'm impressed at Marco Piccato. The Piccato looks pretty solid, and you can see he's bearing down. He's actually just staring at the back of J.R. Hines.
Well, Marco actually started out as a quad racer before he started playing with the freestyle aspect, so he's got some racing background.
And he is being dogged right now by his buddy, Colton Moore. Moore in third. We saw in the side-by-side racing, Colton Moore is incredibly fast, but just seems to push it a little too far past that edge. But here on this sport quad, he's much more comfortable.
Absolutely. This is his bread and butter. Him and Marco actually trained together at the Moore compound in Texas, so they know each other pretty well.
So Hines goes over, and Marco Piccato is closing in on him. So J.R. Hines is not going to be able to run away with this one as easily as he'd hoped. Marco Piccato in the red is charging.
You can see how deep the ruts and the sand. Sport quads aren't used to ripping on this kind of track. They're more of a moto-style race, so it definitely leads to fatigue, and who knows what kind of other crazy decisions.
And this is where you come into the corners and you hit one of those deep ruts that those giant tires of the side-by-sides have been leaving, and it can really set you off your line.
Absolutely. Bounces you all over the place. Line picking right now and avoiding those ruts is going to be important.
And you can see there the rain is starting to fall harder right now, and what's that going to do to the course, Paul?
You know, it'll make the sandy sections a little bit tackier. These sport quads with the smaller tires are going to hook up better, get through the corners faster. You know, a little bit of rain's not good for your vision either.
Well, you know, a little bit of rain is actually terrible when you're trying to freestyle, which is why this has become a race instead of a true speeding with style event. But sometimes they're coming through. You can see it's almost dusty, so does the rain actually improve the race for them?
Absolutely. A wet racetrack is a good racetrack.
Here we go. J.R. Hines still holding off Marco Piccato, and the two of them have put quite a gap on Colton Moore, who is down there in third place. And I think that Marco is really making J.R. work hard.
They're getting through these sections so fast, just, you know, on the rear tires, just barely tapping the fronts. I mean, that's so much smoother. Keeps you from getting tired because you're just wicked fast.
So here, Marco is trying, I think, to force JR to make that mistake because he's within striking distance, but this is the final lap. So if Marco Piccato is going to do anything, it has to be now.
He is all over him. He's got one lap left.
Oh, look at how close he is. But it's so hard because Hines keeps closing the door and that best racing line. Piccato got a little bit sideways there coming around the corner.
They're getting through those corners and through those whoop sections so fast. It's just crazy.
Well, I don't think it's going to be enough of Piccato because this is the final turn for J.R. Hines, and he is going to make it 2 for 2 in our modified Caleb Moore's Speeding with Style. Piccato takes second, and wow, where is Colton Moore? So Moore does take third, and there you see the rain really starting to fall.
I tell you what, you could just get a glimpse of how deep that stuff is right there. The boys are about getting stuck.
So it really was this race between J.R. Hines and Marco Picotto, and Picotto had a good fast line down there, but lost it on the outside line.
Absolutely, that outside was just a little bit slower.
So Marco digging hard, trying to find a way through, but it's impossible to get past the very wide J.R. Hines today. And you see him come across 2 for 2, and Caleb Moore speeding with style. There is a very happy J.R. Hines. If the freestyle portion was in there, may not have done so well.
Yeah, maybe. He's awful fast on the racetrack.
And Derek Getter taking 4th because he got punted at the start. Hines takes the win, and he's down with Misha Johnson.
J.R. Hines on fire today on this track. Now, you told me earlier that speed is your thing. Obviously, that was the case this race as well. What was going on out there?
Well, we just got a good start and, went into my zone and said, I got to get going. I had my buddy Marco on my tail the whole time, so it was kind of fun. But, I just had to keep my distance, keep a safe distance so he couldn't get at me on the inside, So 1-1, I'll take it. I'm very happy.
Marco, you're right. He was right behind you. Did you have the bar set high on this one because you already had a first-place finish and you wanted that second one, or how were your nerves?
Absolutely. I wasn't really nervous. I just knew I had to get a decent start and then, get out there and put it in my lap so I can do. So, did it. We're here.
Cool as a cucumber. Nice job out there.
Thank you very much.
J.R. Hines taking his 2nd win in Caleb Moore's Speeding with Style. In the HMK women's race, Sarah Gilday wins 1, Cindy Hart wins the other. And in our Pro-Am category, Katu wins over Gorsinger. Phenomenal racing. For Paul Thacker and Misha Johnson, I'm Tess Sewell saying thanks for watching the Mystic Lubricants Terracross Championship. We'll see you next time.